Steve Slayton, it's not been easy to be a WVU fan the last couple weeks, has it?
Listen, I'm not a fair weather fan. I stick it through, and I'm gonna stick it through.
I'm sticking it through too. And the one thing I know is when I go to a watch party and I walk out of it and I'm on the Sunset Strip, guess what? I still look good. I'm wearing WVU gear, and my WVU gear looks good because you know why?
I know why.
Why is that? The Book Exchange. The Book Exchange. Get anything. This is a fantastic shirt. I got the Book Exchange. Lots of good stuff at the Book Exchange. You can get, in fact, I'm doing Christmas shopping for my nephews. You get kid stuff, you get adult stuff, everything stuff. Listen, this is a bump in the road, and we have, and when this happens in football season, I start going, we always have basketball season. It's coming up. So if you need to get your gear, go to the Book Exchange, and Steve Slayton, tell them what they need to do to get 25% off.
Matt, we always talk about is damn near free. So
damn free.
First thing you need to do is use our code, the Burning Couch Pod, and it's damn near free. You're gonna get 25% off.
Just Burning Couch. That's the code. Just use that. You can use it online, in person, anywhere you want. Go to the Book Exchange, buy some stuff, show your pride. Even when we lose, you gotta show your pride at WVU Book Exchange. Thank you guys for sponsoring the show. And we're back. It's been we took a little hiatus. You know, I was hurt, and I don't want to talk about a game that happened in Texas. I'm just not going to talk about it. I don't know if my partner was there, but I'm Matty Stout, radio god legend and podcasting guru, and with me, of course, the man, the legend. No myth about him. He's Steve Slayton. Steve, did you go to the Houston game, by the way?
I wasn't able. I had other obligations not to go, but I watch, and listen, I'm heartbroken as much as anybody else can be, to where in the sense that we showed the fight to win the game, but it changed differently, and
so
it's not beautiful. It's not beautiful.
We're not going to talk about that game. We're not going to talk about Oklahoma State either. But I have one question for you before we bring in our guest today, who's pretty much become like a third member of the show. Mike Asti, Steve Slayton, as a player right now, everybody on Twitter, everybody on whatever is saying this is coach's fault. Is it the coach's fault when players fumble the ball, hit their own players who were receiving a catch? Sorry, everybody. Sorry. Anyway, is that the coach's fault? Is that coaching, or is that just, I mean, I don't understand. You know, like, it's easy to say coaching, but is it?
I'm going to say there's a lot of things that go into playing a game. And certain times that you know what you teach and what you preach as coaches, you make mistakes. I think that the mistakes we've been making, Mike's going to tell you, it's too much. It's too many mistakes. It's not even to where the sense that it's being coached the right way. I think we're coached against it, but the mental mistakes we're making is losing us games.
Would a Rich Rod team make those mistakes?
We have. Yeah, we lost games on mental mistakes, but one thing I don't like to admit is that Rich Rod's feet was never to the fire. Neil Brown's feet is to the fire, and we try to be advocates of it, not put his feet in the fire. But literally, what's going on? It's dumb mistakes that we're making. To where it's like, is it coaching? But I don't blame a player making a mistake on coaching. But I think overcoaching happens to where you don't make those mistakes because you understand how pivotal they are. The mistakes we're making, I got to put on Neil Brown. I have to. I don't want to, but I have to.
I'm also asking the question, do we trust the climb? Are we done? Is it time to just fold up the tent? Coming up, we'll talk to Mike Asti, who might have some answers for some of these questions that we have. We know he'll have lots of things to say. That's coming up on the other side. And guess what? Player star. You two are battling it out once again. That's up next on the Burning Couch Pod. We're back with the Burning Couch podcast. Our friend Mike Asti is joining us because we want to kind of take assessment of the season so far. So Mike, here's my take.
Okay.
The Houston game, although we lost in horribly West Virginia fashion, probably the most. There's two. It brings me back to, like, I think it was '95, the blocked punt by Miami, when we shouldn't have even punted, and we did, and they blocked it and ran it back, touchdown, won the game.
Was it 96? Yeah, I think that was 96.
96. So that this
People
is
probably
the worst
recently.
I felt about a game since then. But at the same time, I'm like, well, the team played, hey, man, they came back. They almost won. So I didn't feel quite as bad. This Oklahoma State game was just trash.
Yeah,
They totally gave this game away.
They did.
What is your vibe feel about this team? And is this a team that can actually turn things around?
I will tell you that Neil Brown agrees with your assessment and your take there. I mean, he literally said the Oklahoma loss stings more. So, and it almost felt like he was saying it stings more than any other loss he's really ever had, because he says a lot of the things that happened in that Oklahoma State game he's never experienced in his entire career. He's never experienced allowing a running back to go for almost 150 in a fourth quarter. We're not talking second half. We're not talking full game. We're talking fourth quarter. He put up Steve Slayton numbers. He put up over 280 and 4 touchdowns in the game and 149 in the fourth quarter. By himself, he basically won that game. So Neil Brown said the Oklahoma State loss stings more. And I think it stings more because, number one, he felt like they had that game in hand, that even though they had the slow start and made mistakes and gave them 17 points and all that BS that annoyed fans, they were leading going into the fourth quarter. Like, they were kind of fixing it. And then they were going to maybe have the special year, and then they still collapse and the defense plays horrible in the last couple touchdowns. I honestly think, Maddie, forget Steve, I think you and I could have ran those in the end zone. It was gaping holes. And that maybe feels a bit worse than a week earlier. You feel like you should beat Houston, who's since lost. Like, they're still a struggling team with a worse record. But you were banged up. You didn't have Aubrey Burks in that game for your secondary. You knew Dana was going to throw the ball a lot. You did have him against Oklahoma State. And you lose on a last-second play on the Hail Mary that Neil talked about. It shouldn't even have been a play they should have got off. If you don't have the taking the helmet penalty, they're 15 yards further back, and then there's no way they're going to throw that ball for a Hail Mary. So those things sucked. And you didn't play well, and you can blame it on the defense. But OSU stings even more, and I think it's because Neil and the coaching staff felt like they kind of got everything under wraps. The players said they were mentally still in the bye week, all of that in Houston. They felt like they got it all under wraps. They got it all fixed. They had a great week of practice. They're ready to go. They're at home. They didn't have to travel. And then you get that result against Oklahoma State, despite, again, leading late, despite all the issues earlier, and you're still right in that game and having the advantage, and then you basically just get destroyed in that fourth quarter. So the vibes are kind of that. But I do think this team, unlike last year, where it felt like they kind of were just going through the motions for a while, certainly midway through the season until the end, I think this team still feels like, because everybody is still kind of in the thick of things in the Big 12, everyone except Oklahoma has lost the game, they still feel like they have their goals in front of them, and they at minimum can at least get in a bowl game because they have 4 wins. But you don't want to just punt games, and they should have won both of them, but they certainly should have beat Oklahoma State, even though they've been winning recently. Because again, anything but 150 from one man in the fourth quarter would have led to a Mountaineer victory.
And Mike, I agree with you wholeheartedly that these past 2 games were our games to win.
Yeah.
And the change of the scenery of football for West Virginia is that we were winning, and now it's like we lost these games. It's heartbreaking to have these, because even listen, we could talk a lot.
People were getting excited. The vibes were better. People were thinking, okay, Neil's saying we're proving people wrong. We're going to have a special year. You guys who predicted 9 wins on my site, and we had that preview show, and I thought you both were crazy. I went 6-6, and you guys were looking to be right. And then you get these last 2 games, and like, who knows?
Those are winnable. Those are games that were ours to win. And the fact that like I said, I speak from a stance of playing football. But understanding the game, Dana Holgerson, who's ex-coach, you got to beat him. It's a tough loss how we lost. It's a tough loss to lose on a Hail Mary. And that's
Yeah.
really, honestly, any game. It's you're tossing a coin flip.
Here's the thing: as a lifelong West Virginia fan, when I saw 12 seconds on the clock, and I saw Garrett Green running around getting excited, I'm like, "Shut the fuck up, kid. Like,
Right.
literally, shut up. This is
Yeah.
WVU football. We find a way to lose, and you are jinxing us." And I mean, I sat there and I was like, "They're gonna pull this off somehow."
I threw a tweet up. I probably jinxed it too.
And I hate that I felt, and I hate that, like, that's my mindset as a WVU fan.
Yeah.
It's always,
Yeah.
we'll find a way to mess this one up. You know, and then running into your own receiver on a
Yeah.
punt. I mean,
Yeah.
Steve, have you ever seen anything like that in your career?
Honestly, I've never seen anything like that, but I don't, like I said, I believe in Neil Brown. I've believed in him for a long time. I don't think he coaches that. And things that happen in the game, you make mental mistakes, because I've made mistakes or mental mistakes, but yeah, listen, like, I'm having a hard time believing, because is that I understand that he's not coaching that, but what you see in the last minutes, this is what's losing games.
Well, and Neil Brown said it too, that his name is on the program. So he's literally said this in the last 2 weeks during this losing skid here, that no matter what goes on, whether it's his fault or not, and of course, he doesn't coach to have players run into each other. Of course, he's not coaching that. But when you end up on a viral moment, nonetheless, you know, it goes on you and your name's in the program. And what he has done, you guys talking about coaching a lot, and he was off the hot seat. I always thought if he got in a bowl game, he'd be back. Ren and them, they won him back. But if a losing season occurs, or you barely crawl into a bowl game, maybe now after 4-1, maybe he wouldn't be back. But you know, the other issue is, he said after the Houston game that in retrospect, maybe he regrets on how he handled the bye week, or he regrets on how he's handled the team in terms of their success. So they were 4-1. The only loss was Penn State, that's vying for the playoff. They're riding high. They win the brawl. And he said he treated him a little bit like a pro team, because there was a gritty win. There were physical wins. So after Saturday brawl, veterans off on Monday, veterans off on Wednesday, etc. And he said he regrets that now, because he said, looking back at this team, I don't care how old you are or how long you've been around, they don't do well with lack of stability, with lack of structure. And these are still college kids. The most veteran, we're still talking early 20s. So they don't do well with lack of structure. And then I will say, for maybe some insight here and some reporting, I don't know exactly what went down. I've heard some rumors. I don't feel comfortable expanding on that here. But Lance Dixon I don't have enough to say it. I'm not like somebody else who just pop off.
Hey,
but
go ahead.
Lance Dixon got suspended for the Oklahoma State game. There were rumors before that he was maybe even off the team, that he was going to be suspended. Neil Brown confirmed, and I tried to ask before, nobody would confirm, but Neil Brown confirmed he got suspended for the Oklahoma State game. It's to be determined whether he's ever back on the team. That's not great when meaning you say that you're worried about lack of structure, you change, you did it wrong prior to Houston with lack of structure, and then a day later, somebody's getting suspended. So did you change after that, or what happened there? That has to go on the head coach when you have players getting suspended despite winning, and you're admitting that lack of structure that you put down has led to them now playing poorly for these 2 games. So that does go on Brown.
So, Mike, here's my thoughts, concerns. When this season started and was going, to me, it was what I've been saying for 3 years. This dude is recruited awesome. When people went down, those recruits came in and did well. I'm like, this is why most of us that love Neil Brown like Neil Brown. Let's say things don't go right this season. Neil gets fired.
Right.
Are we starting all over again? How many of these players do you think are going to stick with the program? That's my worry. And more than anything else, it's that, you know, I'm kind of falling out of love with him as a coach, to be honest with you. I really don't.
Say they bring in a new coach.
As recruiter, great.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, honestly,
a lot of recruits
he would
who will
just be the recruiter. He would be the best recruiter in the world. But but it comes down to coaching, and I don't know if he's got the chops.
Yeah, and of course he wanted Troy, but this is Power 5 football. It's a wholly different ball game. But yeah, I mean, I have said this. that to have top 40 recruiting classes at West Virginia that does not really give you much high school football wise. You got to go outside, all of this, everything going on at the program in the school to get. Some actually have argued top 35. He was in the top 30 and top 25 for a while, even though he slid out of that in these last 4+ years. So to be relatively in that top 30, top 35, or top 40 at WVU is a good recruiting job. And you're doing it while losing for the most part, besides the COVID year when you won a bowl. So that is fantastic. And he beat out Penn State for Rodney Gallagher, held Gallagher when he was flirting with Penn State. And I know for a fact James Franklin wanted him, still wants him, may still get him, as what you're alluding to. But Neil Brown won, and Rodney Gallagher's told me to my face, I would run for a wall for that man. So I will tell you, without hearing from Gallagher on this, because he told me this a year ago, I don't know what his feelings are currently, but if you do get rid of Brown, I would imagine Gallagher is going to leave. I'd imagine a lot of players will leave. But the end of it, Maddie, is you bring in a new voice. And again, it's year 5. It's not year 1 or 2, like Steve brought up with Rich Rod struggling his first couple years before Steve got there. He wasn't going to get fired because it's year 1 or 2. If it was year 5 and Rich Rod was winning 3 games and going 3-8, that might have been a different ball game. So this is year 5 now. You have a standard of Rich Rod, Dana, even Bill Stewart, and you bring in a new voice. Though that new, it's not even so much that these players may want to leave. The other end of it is, which people don't talk about as much in the transfer portal era, the new coach. Say it's a new coach that comes in, whoever it is, he may come in and say, I'm sorry. I know that you were here and you love it here and you don't want to leave. You don't fit my plan, my program. So I'm asking you politely, go hit that portal. Like, that's also
be on and not ask politely and just say, y'all hit the portal and I'm bringing in
right. Or I'm bringing in the Louis and you're going to the portal and here's a YouTube video to embarrass you and your family. And, again, so Neil Brown has actually told me when I had him on a show that one of his biggest regrets is he wishes that he could have had the Dion rules in 2019 when he took over. He claims he would have cleaned house. So he would have got rid of all the Dana. He didn't say this, but it sounded like he was basically, because he told me he would have done that to improve the culture. We've been around long enough. That tells me that he had some bad remnants of culture in that locker room that were upset about Dana, the veterans, the alums that said they didn't feel welcome. That was still around. He wanted to clean that up. He couldn't because of the rules. It was different even a year in front of the portal. But nobody can do the Dion thing where you bring in 86 new players. And no one has a swag of Dion. But yeah, it would change a lot. It'd be maybe easier now because of the portal. You can bring in guys too, but it would be hard. Steve, you'd be rebuilding.
It's very tough because what I know about Dion, when I look at Dion, you got to buy in because he's a player, he's a coach, he's done everything. He's done fantastic things to where you can't say, oh, you didn't do it. I think for Neil, even for the structure of West Virginia football is still West Virginia football. And I think Neil fit it. I think the next person has to fit it. Still same thing. I don't see it changing of, oh, you fired Neil. Okay, we fired Neil. Who fits the same fit of what West Virginia football is? Because literally to me, West Virginia football is Don Nealon. That's it to me. It's family over anything else. Even Rich had
he loves Neil. Even by the way.
Yeah, he was Neil. Listen, I haven't talked to that man in a long time, but I know he regrets that decision of leaving West Virginia. Because that's what we know, Maddie, Mike, that's the greenest pasture you can have. There was nothing else. Him going to Michigan was not a better situation for him in Michigan.
Yeah.
He should have just stayed. I think he should have stayed. But we fired Neil. Who do you think is going to have the same retribution or even standard of what West Virginia is? Do any of your fans want to change it? I don't want to change what we love.
I think that no matter what happens this season, it has been we'll see how it turns out. And I want to kind of get into UCF in a second because I've some thoughts on that. But
I'm going down there for it actually.
The game is the program has been elevated as far as the players and we've had some flash a little we needed it this year and and the season's not over. And this is what I keep telling folks: like, listen, this is not over yet.
It's not over.
This
It's
is
not
the
over.
type to me.
Nah.
This is the team that goes down to UCF and wins. This is honestly, like, if you ask me right now, I would guarantee a win at UCF. And why? Because that's what we do. We get beat up and then we come back and do some stupid, crazy stuff and win a game we're not supposed to. If we pull that off, and I honestly think we can, then, you know, it's not, I wouldn't say it's green light again, but it's definitely looking, you know, better again. And we've got some traction down the road. You know, I think that, you know, I still think it's a great team. I still love Garrett Green. You know, just shut up a little bit and you'll be all right. But hey, I'd rather have a kid cocky and confident and running around than I felt like, you know, we've had pretty much hang dog look the last few seasons. So it's a tough road. So Mike, you're going down to UCF. I mean, what are you thinking about that game?
So yeah, I'm covering the game. I'm gonna be there for it. I'll say right now, no, I do believe they are a team that gives a vibe like it shouldn't have taken 2 games, but maybe now they understand more that they need to kick in the pants after the same result against Oklahoma State that happened in Houston. I wouldn't be shocked if they go down there and win. UCF is not the team that claims a fake title from years ago. Like, this is a UCF team that's been up and down this year. They do put up points, by the way. So if this was the same West Virginia team that earlier in the year was struggling to score and had like an impotent offense that despite winning couldn't move the ball hardly when Green was out, I would be more concerned for WVU. But putting up they're 24 over TCU, 39, 34, they're scoring. It is the defense that is the issue. Let's call it.
And we knew that going into the season. We just had a very nice surprise that they weren't terrible. And I think everybody forgets that.
You know what people will say is that they played, the opponents are part of that too. Texas Tech has been exposed. They aren't that good. Phil Jerkovich has since been benched and maybe was going to be a tight end. Now isn't going to play at all. Like, they did benefit from a lot of what's going on. Like, when I was covering the Pitt game, for example, I was going in not sure because that's just how West Virginia is. But a lot of my colleagues who cover Pitt were saying, no, I think West Virginia's going to win this game. Phil Jerkovich doesn't have it. He's going to throw picks. And if you guys can catch him, it's over. West Virginia will win. That's exactly what happened. Like, to give them credit, they knew exactly what was going to go down, and it did. So maybe the defense has got exposed. Maybe they were tired, to their credit. They also were banged up. But I don't think it's out of the question that they can win at UCF. Also, they can win a shootout. They almost won a shootout against Houston. They almost did if they didn't collapse in the fourth quarter against Oklahoma State. So if it's a shootout, they can score and they can throw the ball and they can do those things too. But I think they need to now. Like, this is a borderline must win. If you lose this, yeah, you're still mathematically in a bowl game situation, but crawling in 6-6 after you're 4-1 is not going to feel the same than getting there another way. And you're pretty much out of the conference race if you lose if you're now 2-3 in conference play, and now you're behind all these teams that have beat you. So this is a must win. I think they can win, and maybe they're better off because you had the whole Dana BS, even though these players didn't play for him. You're back home, and you have half the stadium isn't full, 51K on homecoming. That's embarrassing. I'll say that. That's embarrassing. So maybe they're better off away from all of this. There's no hype at UCF outside of playing a football game. That might be best.
So listen, guys, we're going to have to wrap in a minute because Mike Asti, do you remember the show The State on MTV?
I do.
It's a very funny show. Oh, it's a great show. I'm going to go see it live.
No, I'm not as old as you. I do not recall.
Well, yeah, hey, I hear you.
Shit,
I hear you. I'm old.
I'm just kidding.
Shit, I know Mike's younger than me, but you show your age. Goddamn, Maddie. Goddamn.
I just want to talk about just very quickly, and I'm just because I want to mention them. We have the number 1 men's soccer team in the country right
100%.
now.
Yeah, 100%.
And beat Marshall to get that title.
100%.
And I don't know. I don't think enough people were talking about him. Rifle's number 1 as well, but you know, I did Rifle and listen.
Oh, you did?
We're good at rifle. Okay. We grow up with a rifle on our shoulder in West Virginia. Like, I've been shooting my whole life.
I will give Mike a well, not a pass, but understanding to where you said, "Oh, football, Marshall can't fuck with us." Anything else we can talk about?
Soccer, they can, yeah.
We could talk anything about Marshall, but we can't talk about football because y'all can't do nothing. You can't do nothing with us, and never did nothing with us.
And to beat them 5, I think it was 5-1 when they were undefeated and number 1. I mean, this is a great men's soccer team. So I'm encouraging, if you've not paid attention to the men's soccer team, do please. We have the best team in the country, and you're talking soccer. You got the Dukes, you got all these other, schools that are traditional soccer schools. The sports program is doing great. In general, like baseball team's done well. They're doing well. Yeah. Hopefully women's basketball turned around this season. I think the men's basketball team's going to have a great season despite, what's his name?
Did he get his, he
go by Battle.
He didn't
get the waiver right now. So.
He did not get the waiver, and
they're appealing and they're doing all these legal things. But I mean, you can't rely on that at this point when the season starts in a week. So, yeah, maybe. I mean, who knows? I mean, the revenue sports right now are what's maybe down. But the basketball team went to the NCAA tournament last year and had a great recruiting class before all the drama happened. So there's reason for maybe some optimism there. But yeah, I get what you're saying. The soccer team being number one is not a minor thing. That is insane. Number one in the country. Multiple polls. This is not just one random.
The women's team. The women's team's been great. The women's soccer 100%. Team's been great. Our baseball team. Well, the young kid, our old pitcher, he's doing really well in the league.
Right.
Yeah, we got some good players playing in Major League.
We produce.
So
yeah,
sure. As you know, we like to play a little game on our show called Player or Star. So what I'm going to do is say the name of either a player for UCF or a male porn star. Mike Asti has not done well at this game in the past. In fact, I believe
I lost the last one, but I think I won one of them way back. I don't know.
I'm still going to say
no. I don't think so. I don't think so.
I did lose the last one.
Yeah, and Steve's had a fairly good. He's had a fairly good season so far. I don't have his record, but he's been doing pretty good. So, player porn star. Let's kick it off with Mike Asti. Gunnar Smith. Gunnar Smith, player or porn star, Mike?
Player.
Ooh, I like it. But as always, this game, I go against the first answer. So, sorry.
He is actually a redshirt quarterback. Quarterback named Gunnar Smith. It's pretty good. So that goes to Mike. Mike with a point. All right, Steve, you're up next with Andy Dixon. Andy Dixon, player or porn star, Steve?
Ooh, that's a tough one. And I'm going to go player.
I was going to go player as well.
Okay,
so I'm gonna go
he is a player. That's a point for each of you. He's a wide receiver.
Yeah.
How about Quentin James? Quentin James, player or star? That's to Mike.
Oh, it's to me. I'm gonna go player as well. That sounds too much like I think I'd be more upset if I got it wrong.
James. I think Quentin. Well, I know Quentin is a player for the Jets. I'm gonna go.
Right.
Yes, he's the star of the Dirty Tourism series, Quentin James. So that's a tie game too. How about Billy Glide? Billy Glide, player or star to Steve?
Billy Glide. I don't think that's a clever player name, so I'm gonna go player.
Some of these names in this game usually are more clever. I'm gonna say player as well.
I'm sorry, Billy Glide is the star of Cater Cruz Gets Screwed on the Kitchen Countertop. That's a good one. Okay, so
I was figuring maybe last man on the roster.
Neither one of you got that one, correct?
No.
Okay.
So it's still 1-1.
How about Jam Johnson? Jam Johnson, player or star to Mike Asti? And this is for the win.
Wow, Jam Johnson.
Well, actually, we have one more after this.
Jam Johnson. Can I get a spell check?
Nope.
I know these spell checks.
Yeah.
That's.
I'm gonna go player again. I'm saying player a lot here, but you just gave me back-to-back points.
I feel like in strength of the game and integrity, even I know. Yeah.
I like the integrity of Steve Slate.
Let's go. Sorry.
He's actually a defensive end for UCF. 3-2, but we got a couple bonus ones here for y'all.
All right.
How about Max Holler? Max Holler, Is that a player or a porn star, Steve Slayton?
Max Holler. I think a reference of the game, he's got to be a player.
That sounds like a real name as well. I haven't scanned the full depth here. Max Holler. I'll say player.
Okay, that's a tie then. 3-3. We got one more. He is a tight end. Tight end, though. Come on. All right, anyway. Last
Goddamn.
one.
So
Matthew.
it's a player then?
It is a player, tight end for UCF. Final one. This is for everything. Marcellus Marshall, player or star? I believe that's going to Steve this time.
Mike. It's Mike.
I think it's me, although I think Maddie's math is off.
Go
I
ahead.
think
Either
yeah,
one.
I
Just,
think I won.
Yeah, go ahead,
I
Steve.
think
I
I
don't-
the guest,
I guess I
the
won,
guest
but
always goes last, so go ahead.
Whatever.
Go ahead, Steve.
Who did you say?
Marcellus Marshall. Go ahead, Steve.
Not to be confused with Marcellus Wiley.
Yeah, not
Pretty
yeah,
effing
that's
far from
it.
okay, Butch.
Um,
I say that all the time.
I don't even have logic anymore. Listen, I'm gonna go against logic. I'm gonna say, sorry.
All right, Mike.
Okay.
It's for the win.
I can dispute your math all day here, but I think I already had the win. What was the name again?
Marcellus Marshall.
Marcellus Marshall. And he said what? What did Steve say?
He said
I'm
star.
sorry.
I'm gonna go star as well then. 'Cause you just had a
I'm
player.
sorry, boys. He's an offensive lineman, but I believe my math was wrong, and I believe Mike did win the game.
I was gonna say I had a 2-point lead going into the
Yeah.
that sudden
So,
death. I was
yeah,
wondering.
I didn't add your
Congratulations,
1
Mike.
point.
Either way,
All right,
either way,
First
Mike.
Steve beat me
loss
many
is-
times before.
We got to wrap
First-
things
first
up.
loss this
Mike,
season.
tell them where they can to read, follow. By the
Sure.
way, if you're not following Mike on Twitter, you're missing out because Mike likes to stir the pot once in a while, which I really enjoy, and I always like your takes and usually agree with him. But go ahead, Mike. Tell them how to get hold of you.
I do like to stir the pot, although I've recently backed away from a rivalry that I think is below me. By the way, so at Mike Asti 11.
Can I just tell you that rivalry is below you? That person
Yeah.
is not even a relevant human being when it comes to
No,
WVU sports.
do you enjoy? I'm growing up. I am ignoring that rivalry and claiming it's below me.
I have
But yes,
ignored him for over 6 months now. Because
Mike Asti 11 on Twitter,
Listen,
or
Maddie's
X
not
or
a
whatever it
big
is
fan.
now, and then of course WV Sports Now, the website. Follow us on socials for all the
so
coverage.
Twitter.
I will be down at UCF in the press box covering that game. So get there for all that coverage. Again, I think it's a must win, but we also got Ethan on a lot of what's going on with the basketball program and everything about the program. We actually are covering soccer too. So number one,
yes,
it's there too.
Ethan Bach, the somehow superstar child of West Virginia sports that everybody seems to love.
He is with us, so yes,
he is with you.
But
And
I'm very happy to have him.
still-
Ethan does a great job. So yeah, find us at
still love
WVSN.
Ethan over
And I
here.
just want to quickly say, guys, before I did this show, I was going to mention this. I told somebody I'd mention this. They sent me a video of this random kid that goes around to stadiums in the country and apparently tries to get on the field just when it's an off time. So he does this. He actually got on Mountaineer Field, by the way, at Milan Pushkar Stadium because he got through the tunnel, which it's usually open and it's crazy. But he did the video and he talked all about all the past greats there and everything that was there. And you guys need to find him and correct him and maybe berate him on this show because he's called the legend that's joining us, Steve Slater. Instead of Steve
we'll have
Slayton.
to play that on the show next week. All right,
Fuck it
we'll
up.
play
I'll send
that
you a
on the
link.
show next-
But he messed
Please
up his
do.
name
Ah,
at
he
the
fucked it
end,
up.
and I was upset for him. He got the
all
other
right,
That
right.
ain't it,
Steve,
Chief.
And
all right,
That
Steve.
ain't it.
Let's wrap it up. Give them your socials.
As always, on Twitter, I'm not calling X, Steve23 Slayton. On Instagram, Mr. Slayton. Hey, listen, if you want to follow me, please. And thank
Follow
you.
Steve. Follow the show at Burning Couch Pod. And if you're listening, go watch YouTube. Mike's been on a few of our videos that have gone super big. But people seem to like him.
Yeah, not everybody
check-
does, but yeah.
But yeah, check us out on YouTube, and please thank you for the book exchange. Use the code Burning Couch to get 25% off. We appreciate that. That really helps the show and helps us show the sponsor that their dollars are well spent as we use it all to produce this. Isha, thank you for your production and all the work that you do. You can follow me at Matty Stout, MattyStaud, D as in dog, T as in tone, anywhere as well. And I hope that you guys all return to the show next week, and we'll talk about that video. And we're looking at bringing in some former Mountaineer next week. We're not going to say who yet until they actually commit and come on. All right, Steve, anything to say as we leave?
As a Mountaineer, I love all my people. You're a Mountaineer, I love you.
From Jam Street Media.